of it is visible above the surface. These subs draw 32 feet of water at midships. The other 3 subs are each in a dry dock and are out of sight. 3 subs are here for scheduled maintenance period, which lasts from a year to a year and a half in length. The 4th sub, the USS Miami, is here being decommissioned. That's where they take off all the top secret equipment. They also disassemble the nuclear reactor, all in preparation for scrapping of the sub. From this prison, the reason being that the guards here were Marines. And they were told that if they allowed a prisoner to escape past them, they would then serve the remainder of that prisoner's sentence. To the left of the bow. Just ahead we have Fort Point here in Newcastle. And this point has been occupied by a military force since the 1630s. And the British had a small fort here known as His Majesty's Castle 1808. On the end of the point we have Fort Point Light, also known as Portsmouth Harbor Light. This particular structure dates to 1878. We have had a lighthouse here since 1771. And today this point is home to the Coast Guard. They keep their smaller rescue boats on the inner side of the point. The old fort is open to the public, and the lighthouse is also open for tours on Sunday afternoons. Just ahead we have Whaleback Light, the southernmost lighthouse in the state of Maine. Built in 1870. This stands at 60 feet above the water at high tide, and on a number of occasions waves have crashed up to the top of this lighthouse. The last time that happened was in October of 1991 during a nor'easter that has been dubbed the No-Name Storm, but is now more commonly referred to as the Perfect Storm. This is a very rugged structure. The walls of this lighthouse are 5 feet thick of dovetailed granite, and this has been automated for over 50 years. Well, we will turn off to the right and make our way for Little Harbor. Sailed into Little Harbor and probably anchored in the area ahead to our left. And they established a fishing camp here which lasted for a couple of years and And at one point they actually supplied fish to the Pilgrims in Plymouth. But they eventually disbanded, and David Thompson moved down to Boston Harbor, settled on an island that today bears his name, Thompson's Island. Other members of the group went up the Piscataqua into what is now Portsmouth and settled along the bank of the river there, naming their little settlement Strawberry Bank, named for the abundance of strawberries that once grew along the banks of the Piscataqua. Ahead we have the Wentworth Fairways, and in a moment we'll pass by the Wentworth Marina on our right side. You notice there are a number of multi-million-dollar yachts in here at the moment.
Ticket to your big boat. Ticket from your big boat to for your parking.
House for all kids. Yeah, like what the app I have is great. I love it. I think it's
although he was not actually present for that crossing. But it is my belief that he was included in that painting because he advised General Washington that it was not wise to stand up in a small boat. He obviously did not heed that advice. This is a single-family island. Comes complete with a 2,800 square foot guest house next to the pool and garages to house the mansion. This is a state historical site, once the home of the first royal governor of the colony. His name was Benning Wentworth. He reigned over much of present-day New Hampshire and Vermont. In this house he signed many deeds incorporating towns in these two states. The one. Now, as we pass by this house, you'll notice that it rambles along the estate with many additions added onto it. There are 40 rooms in this house, and the story behind this goes that the governor used to like to throw parties. Back in those days, if you had people over after dark, it was common courtesy to provide them with overnight accommodations. Each party, his guest list grew bigger, he would have to add on some more rooms. Some of the bushes around the house are purple lilacs. These are said to be the oldest lilacs on the continent, imported from Europe by the governor.
What is it?
As you can see, we are now back on the Piscataqua River. And just ahead at the Navy Yard where the river bends, we have Henderson's Point, this rocky area just ahead. And before 1905, this point stuck out into the river towards where we are now, another 500 feet, making it very difficult for ships to round this bend. Now, earlier I mentioned that when the black powder was taken from Fort William and Mary, it was loaded onto vessels known as gondolas. And if you look up ahead to the left, this channel over here, you can see a replica gondola. You can see the flag flying from the stern. These were unique to this area. They were simply a flat-bottomed sailing barge. The mast on these should be lowered to allow them to pass underneath the thick bridges that span many of the rivers at the time. And they were used to carry cargo from the shallower upriver regions down to Portmouth, where the cargo was then normally transferred onto barges. To our right, we have Badger's Island. Many ships built here over the years, including the first warships constructed for the Continental Congress. The construction of two of these was supervised by John Paul Jones, who lived in Portsmouth for a time. Those ships were the Ranger and also the America.
That's around a lot.
Yeah, this water is pretty.
Those fish are, those minnows are pretty big.
Totally cool.
Yeah. Look at them, but they're so great. There's little giant tires. Another cargo.
I mean, like everywhere you look, there's fish. Surprised there isn't like, oh, look at them all coming up to the surface now.
I know.
That's cool. But I'm surprised there isn't more cormorants here.
Right, so are you like any better value than space now? That's much. Nah.
Those are cheap.
I know. They're monsters.
All right. So what are we doing with you?
I just want to see a sip. PT2.